and welcome back to the 40-day challenge in Embracing the Race. It is day 25, and this has become one of my new favorite rainy day Embracing the Race spots. Today is called Don't Get Disqualified. The verse that she shares at the beginning is from 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 5. If anyone competes as an athlete, he does not receive the victor's crown unless he competes according to the rules. Okay, so she starts off with a story about Rosie Ruiz, which I feel like I may have heard this story, but I wasn't sure. So you may have heard this story. But in 1980, she crossed the finish line of the Boston Marathon at a world record pace, but it was soon found out that she cut the course. Yeah, I guess it is cutting the course. She cheated. She took the subway towards the end, and that's how she finished so quickly. She was barred from running, had her medal obviously taken away, and she would never get to run that race again. And the author shares that it's estimated that almost 400 people every year are disqualified from the 4 most popular marathons due to cheating. They'll give their bib to faster runners, or they'll cut the course. Things like that. That's a good chunk of people. And she goes on to say that it doesn't matter how quick your pace is, doesn't matter how well known you are, cheating is never a way to achieve things. And then if you're caught, you get disqualified. And she says just as, weary marathon runners are tempted at some points to cut course, we have obviously those types of temptations in our Christian walk. And she shares a list of what that could look like in our life, what shortcuts like that would look like. Fudging the expense reports, lying to our neighbor, overlooking our children's foolish behavior because we're too tired, skipping worship to sleep in, keeping our tithe to have more money for vacation, refusing to apologize to someone we've offended, clicking on that website we know will take us down a wrong path. These are just a few examples of shortcuts we might be tempted to take along the way. And I wrote off to the side here things that I thought of, at least from my experience, or at least in my life, what could be considered shortcuts, or trying to make excuses is kind of what I think of. And the big obvious ones are entertainment and music. What TV shows do you watch? What movies do you watch? What music do you listen to? And it's really easy, at least when I was growing up anyways, it was really easy for me to be like, oh, I don't use that language, but it's okay for me to watch movies with that language in it. Or questionable, topics or scenes. But because I wasn't personally doing it, it's okay to put that in my mind, which, if you remember, we had another day previous to this one talking about how influential to our emotions and attitudes and things like that, what we put into our mind is. So it's very important, at least definitely for me, what I choose to fill my mind with. She goes on to share, imagine a crowd of runners trailing behind the woman who cheated in the marathon. Perhaps they would simply follow her because they thought she was an excellent runner who knew the course. And she says, think about a shortcut you've taken in your own life and imagine if others followed your lead. Staying humble and embracing the boundaries God has put into place will keep us running our races more effectively. And I've mentioned this before, a lot of people outside of the Christian faith looking in, I've heard it said like, oh, it's just all these rules and, no fun, and I can't go do this certain thing or can't watch that certain thing and all of that. But I've learned through experience, making the wrong choices, that it's not that God is telling us a whole list of things that we shouldn't do. He's giving us a list of, I cannot talk today, a list of things, showing us the way to have that abundant life He promised us. And it's because He wants the best for us, not because He's trying to take away our fun. And that's what I always think about when it comes to that. All right, questions. Think back to a time in your life where you gave into the shortcut of temptation. How did it turn out? Well, the really obvious one that comes to mind for my life is when I was dating a guy for a few years, and he told me he was going to marry me. So my shortcut was, oh, we're going to get married, so it's okay for me to take our relationship to the next level. And of course, that is not the man I'm married to now. So of course, that didn't work out, and I ended up with a broken heart. And, you know, whether people will admit it or not, getting too physical in a relationship is exactly like giving pieces of your heart away, and you're never quite whole again. And so that was the shortcut I took, and it did not turn out well at all. What temptations are you facing now? What can you do today to stay on course? My biggest temptation is time management and being lazy. And it all, at least that, I think most things probably boil down to selfishness. Because like my time management, is it something that's gonna benefit just me, or am I, prioritizing what's the best for my family? And these things need to get done first before I do anything that is, just for me type deal. List making has become very, very big for me, and my whole family will attest to this. And this isn't really related to the question, but like, for example, if it's not on the grocery list, there's a really good chance that I'm not going to remember to buy it. So I always try so hard to make sure that my lists are accurate. And when I will make lists of things I need to do, and I will put them in priority order. Like, this really needs to get done first for my family. This really needs to get done, all of these things first before I sit down and do something like edit my videos for this, because really this isn't really benefiting anyone but me. So it's that type of thing. And also, when I have a busy day, and sometimes I'm like, wow, it's gonna be a really long day and tiring, making that list actually helps it not feel so overwhelming. I cannot encourage making lists enough. Just writing it down will make it seem less overwhelming, even if you have a lot of things to do. So that's an encouragement right there. Make lists. Write it down. She ends with the verse from 1 Corinthians chapter 9, verse 27. No, I strike a blow to my body and make it my slave, so that after I have preached to others, I myself will not be disqualified for the prize. That's honestly kind of a confusing verse. I wonder what it is in other translations, because I don't know what translations this is. No, I strike a blow to my body and make it my slave, so that after I have preached to others, I myself will not be disqualified for the prize. I know she referenced that verse earlier in here. It was Paul talking about, it's referencing that he continues to disciple his soul, being careful not to become disqualified himself. He is careful not to let pride sneak in and trip him up. So it's referencing that. I always encourage people, look at different translations, and if you have a study Bible, look at the commentary, because it helps verses like that are worded very weird. But I mean, what Paul says, the majority of his books, is very important to discipline his soul. Doing things like this in your quiet time, and not neglecting, small groups in church, that type of thing. So I hope you're doing well, and I hope you're enjoying these devotions. I am enjoying them a lot. I'm really, really glad I decided to do this. So I will see you tomorrow.